Hi. We are no longer in a phase of is it happening or isn't it happening? It's happening, and it's been happening for a while. The way authoritarian forces operate is that they seek to gain, through democratic processes, power so that they can then dismantle democracy. And that's exactly what's happening. The undercutting, the dismantling of our federal agencies, the nullification of congressional powers, the nullification of judicial powers. And basically the goal is to get to the point where Congress itself will basically give Trump permission to ignore the U.S. Constitution. Now, you might say that's far-fetched, and I would argue, well, isn't that what's happening already? He's talking about the nullification of birthright citizenship, his selling hats, Trump 2028, in direct opposition to the, I think, 22nd Amendment, which says that a president can only run for 2 terms. And now, what is truly extraordinary is the House saying, yeah, it's okay to deport American citizens. So these attacks on the judiciary, these attacks on basic principles of the Constitution are so contrary to everything that American freedom and liberty represents that it is reasonable for us to see these as tyrannous forces. And there hasn't been since World War II such a threat to American freedom and to American liberty. So for those of you who, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I think that this is something which, if you are really looking at the news, seeing what's happening, when your government starts telling universities what it can and cannot teach, it has a right to tell museums what it can and cannot exhibit. When there's a withhold of medical research, there's a withhold of services to the poor, withhold of services to children, a withhold of the various protections, whether it has to do with, starting the ways that they are undermining Social Security, the way they are withholding money that would be given to Medicaid recipients. So what's happened internationally, of course, is that we have become a rogue nation. I mean, this economic warfare, the fact that the president has just decided to start an economic war, that makes us rogue. The fact that we are now neglecting and abandoning allies and siding with Russia, that makes us rogue. And then domestically, the fact that, as I said, he is dismantling really the main pillars of our Constitution. You might want to look at the president's interview online with Terry Moran from ABC when he was showing him the Declaration of Independence. And Terry Moran said, "What does it mean to you?" And the president said, well, it's a declaration. He said it's a declaration of love and unity and respect. Well, it is our mission statement. It is our guiding force, but it's not about love, respect, and unity, okay? What was very clear in that moment is that the president has never read it. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. This president I don't even think he recognizes what the main principles of our constitutional order are. But even if he does, he is among a group of people that does not respect them, that sees those constitutional principles which actually protect our liberty as inconvenient to their purposes. Okay, that was a long way of saying, okay, what do we do now? During the American Revolution, the British came over here. There's a long line of soldiers in redcoats, and they're waiting for someone to go fire. That was the 17th and 18th century mode of warfare. But the American colonists had been over here. They had been with Native Americans, and they had learned how to do what would later be called guerrilla warfare. They were just, jumping out from behind the trees. That's what you and I have to be now. In a political sense, this has got to be guerrilla warfare right now. What they did when Trump took office was they began immediately, for instance, when they fired the inspectors general, they fired or forced really to resign whole cadres of people who are there to make sure that what is happening would not happen. They knew exactly what they were doing. This is a very, very well-planned operation here that has been in the making for decades. So you and I have to respond. You can't say, oh, this particular area of the Department of Defense or this particular area of the Department of Justice or this particular area of a political party, that they will handle it. No, we're in this mess because in too many ways we surrendered the power of citizenship. They'll handle it. I'm not political, and I've been saying for years, the French have this saying, you don't do politics, politics will do you. Well, politics is doing all of us right now. So I do think there's a rising up. I'm feeling it. I'm happy. There's incredible content online, and I'm curating a lot of it on my stories on Instagram. There's some really good stuff out there. If you want to know what's happening, it's out there. The issue is you have to jump out from behind trees. And what does that mean? It could be that you're posting. One of the things I've been impressed on my own social media is I'll see somebody do some extreme right-wing totalitarian ridiculousness that is, you can't just laugh out right now because they're serious. And I'll see somebody else come in there and correct it, tell the truth, post articles. You see a lie, you speak truth. This is about each and every one of us. It could be a protest in your community. It could be something having to do with calling Congress, calling your Congress people. It could have to do with writing someone. It could have to do with support in whatever way. It could have to do with a town hall. It could have to do with online. Peaceful and legal and fierce. This is no joke. I also think a lot of it is intellectual preparation. That's one of the principles of nonviolent political activism. Right now I'm reading a really, I think, important book. It's called Fascism, A Warning by Madeleine Albright. Anything by Hannah Arendt. We don't know right now. What does he plan? Does he want to be Viktor Orban? Or does he want to go full on Putin? We don't know. But it must be stopped. And that needs to be the slogan for this moment. It must be stopped. No more appeasement, okay? No more appeasement. It's extraordinary the way some of these Republican Congress people are surrendering the power of Congress. And it has been said by people in the know, including people who have been among their ranks, that they're not just afraid of Elon Musk coming in and paying to have them primaried. In many cases, they are afraid for their own personal safety. It's gotten that far. And so for people to say, oh, Marianne, it's not that bad. At what point is it that bad? If they're already picking people up off the streets, sending them off to a dungeon in El Salvador. And by the way, be very clear here. When somebody says, well, they're here illegally, not everybody who is undocumented is here illegally. Many of them are in the process. They are in the process of seeking asylum. They are in the process. We know of Andrew Hernandez, that makeup artist, the gay makeup artist. He was he was seeking asylum, running away from what they were doing to him as a gay young man, I think, in Venezuela. He had a tattoo. It's a tattoo to his mother and father. Give me a break. What they can do to anyone, they can do to you. This is very serious now. It must be stopped. Do what you can. The energy's rising. Pedal to the metal. It must be stopped. See you later.